Ollie and his friend Shelley, who's also a private eye based in, like the DC suburbs, were going to a convention of sorts. It was a cybersecurity convention. And they were having a couple of big sessions for investigators of various types about using computer tools to do investigative work. But that didn't end up being terribly important to this story, what they were doing, because they had trouble on the road. They were driving along in Shelley's car, and all of a sudden the car started making this horrible noise. I mean, first it made one big horrible noise, like a kerplang, except much louder than that. And then it was making this little ka-chugga, 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 ka-chugga. And like it didn't, the car wasn't shaking or anything, but that was definitely not an encouraging noise. And so they decided they ought to stop, and then things got even worse because the car started to lose power. Like it wasn't stopped, but when Shelley, who was driving, would push on the gas, it wouldn't accelerate as much as it normally does. So, all very worrying, and they decided they needed to go ahead and get off at the next exit, and maybe even call a tow truck to get to some sort of repair shop. And so they pulled off, and it was a tiny little exit. There weren't any, sometimes they have the signs that say, gas here, food here, there's an Arby's or a Taco Bell or whatever. None of that. It just said, exit 14. There, I stood. So they pulled off on the exit, and it was a much smaller exit than what they were used to. It was a whole lot of nothing. The ramp kind of pulled off and made a T into a small road. They could go left or they could go right, but it was a small, weird-looking road either way. And so they went right, just kind of guessing. They didn't have any cell phone service, so they couldn't really tell much from the map. They couldn't, Google nearest service station or anything like that. It was kind of out in the boonies. So they drove a little bit further with the car, and I'm making a slower ka-chugga, 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 ka-chugga. And Shelley said, it's getting weaker and weaker, Ollie. This is not good. I don't have any cell phone coverage to, call a tow truck company. Well, I said, yeah, my cell phone's not getting anything either. I don't know what to tell you. And right about the time they said that, the car made a good kerplunk. And the engine stopped. And it's the best Shelley could do to pull it off to the side of the road. And it wasn't much of a side of a road, but it was enough. And it was like a 2-lane road. It wasn't totally backcountry, but it was what it was. So they pulled off into the gravel. And I said, I guess we're walking. So they took a few minutes to put, the various backpacks or whatever, books, phones, phone chargers that they had out in the car, and put them in the trunk. And then they locked up the car as best they could, just kind of make it look like not worth stealing from. Because the only thing that they had to go on was that Ollie had spotted, Ollie has really good eyes, remember, up, a half mile up the road or so, Ollie had spotted a mailbox. And that was it. Other than that, it was just woods. So they figured that was their best shot. And they started walking. And they walked, and it ended up being a little bit less than a half mile. And there was a mailbox, and it said McLennan. Had a house number. And a long-looking driveway. They couldn't even see the house. But the driveway was nicely kept. It was a gravel driveway, but in good condition. They found that, in the circumstances, encouraging. So they walked, and they walked, and they walked, and they walked. And it was taking forever. Finally, they caught sight of the house. And what a house it was. This cool, somewhere between Gothic and Victorian thing. Up on the top of a hill. It was surrounded by maybe about an acre of, more kempt garden and green inside the woods. This little oasis of, mankind in a kingdom of nature. I said, okay, I'm going to go in there, see if we can use their phone, try and get back on the road. I said, we've lost like an hour and a half already. She said, I know. I mean, we left early, so, they've started at this point, but sooner anyway. Just then, Shelley's phone made a sort of a sad little noise. She said, crap, that's my phone running out of batteries. I said, I'll switch mine off now, just in case we had a little bit of battery left. So I turned off his phone, and they walked up to the house. It was beautiful, but as they got closer, they could see that it was kind of in rough shape. Some peeling paint. A couple of the shutters were kind of dangling off the side of the house. There was a screen porch, but like a lot of the screens were torn and flapping in the wind. There were a couple of different old catalogs sitting near the front door, as if someone hadn't actually walked out the front door in quite some time. At the same time, the grounds looked good. The grass was a little bit overgrown, but there were fruit trees that were, they had fruit on them. They didn't need pruning badly or anything like that. So I didn't quite know what to make of it. Neither did Shelley, but it was also their only option. So they went up to the door and they knocked. Shelley knocked pretty hard because it was a big old house. And quite to her surprise, the door just swung open. It wasn't even latched. It's just open. Shh, you don't need shoes, honey. It's bedtime. That surprised Ollie and Shelley. Ollie kind of leaned in awkwardly and said, "Hello? Sorry, the door just swung open. Hello? Is anyone home?" Not a word. They walked around the perimeter of the house, and there were a couple of cars. The driveway sort of snaked around to the back. So they decided to see if there's maybe a back door they might knock on. Maybe that, sometimes in these big old houses, if it's just a couple of people living there, they don't even use, some of the rooms. So maybe people in the kitchen. So they knocked on that door, but that one was closed and latched. I decided to try and see, and it wasn't locked. But he didn't want to, push that luck. So they went around front. I said, "What are we going to do, Ollie? It seems like no one's home or no one's answering, but we need to find a phone and call somebody to come help us." And that's when Ollie noticed that inside the house, not too far from the front door, maybe 20 feet, there was a classy little telephone desk. Just everything you'd expect out of a cozy house mystery. There's a little desk, old-looking telephone sitting on it, a phone book right next to that, a little ashtray, and a mirror. It was everything you'd need to make a polite phone call. Ollie pointed out to Shelley. Shelley said, "I think we should risk it. I think we should call out a few more times and then just try and make a quick call and go back out. We have the address. We can meet him at the driveway. I think we got to risk it, Ollie." I said, "Yeah, you're right. No, it's a little bit rude, but we're kind of out of options. I'll do it." She said, No, we're going in together. If one of us is being rude and weird and scary, we're both doing it. So they both went in. She said, "Besides, your fingers kind of struggle with these old-style phones. Well, you don't have fingers. I guess that's the point. I said, yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. All right. As they walked, they got about 10 feet in, and the door slammed shut. And that time, all I did hear the latch. Click. Shelley ran to the front door. It was locked now. Ollie wasn't sure what to do, so he went to the phone. He said, Shelley, let's go ahead and make the call. We'll figure it out. I will kind of look around. Ollie had already flipped through and found a local garage that had a tow truck. And it was a Yellow Pages that was there, thankfully. So they called, and somebody did answer. Bob's Garage and Towing, how can I help you? So Shelley described the situation. Said, oh, out there. Okay, yeah, that place. All right. You be careful up there. It's going to take me about half an hour to get to you. But, gosh, are you in the house? Shelley said, yeah. What's it like? Never known anybody to be in the house before. So what do you mean? So, I don't know. The family that lives there, they keep to themselves. A couple times they brought one of their cars in here actually to be serviced. They're nice enough folks, but strange. And but nobody's seen them for years. Nobody knows what the deal is. Now that, as Shelley recounted it, immediately got Ollie starting to be curious. There's a mystery here. But Shelley made arrangements, and they said they would meet on the road, not on the driveway, on the road, in about half an hour. It'd only take them about 10 minutes to walk up the driveway. I said, okay, we've got a plan. I guess we should just go back to the end of the road and wait. I said, yeah, I guess, yeah. And then they heard a crash. And a scutter. Shelley jumped. What was that? I said, I don't know. I think we should leave. We should just go. We've got our problem solved. Let's just get out of here. So they went to the front door and tried to unlock it, but it was just open the door, and it was stuck. The deadbolt, well, not the deadbolt, but the latch. They couldn't get it to unlatch. They tried fiddling with the different bits of the doorknob, and it just wouldn't come. Ollie couldn't even tell if it was locked or just old and stuck and rusted, but no matter what, they couldn't get out. So I said, okay, there's a back door in the kitchen. Let's just go straight through. Probably, if I remember the way the house is laid out right, the kitchen should be just straight down this hall. Ollie was anxious about the idea of going further into the house, but there weren't a whole lot of options. And then, as they started down the hall, something ran past them, between the two rooms. By the front door, there was like a library and a music room on either side of the hall, and something skittered by. They both turned, but they didn't see anything. She said, Ollie, I'm getting creeped out. This place seems like it's... I said, don't say it. I've got to say it, Ollie. It's true. It seems haunted. I let a big sigh. I know. You're right. It does. Ollie, I've never dealt with any actual supernatural stuff, but you have. Does it seem like a haunting to you? I said, I've dealt with more not real hauntings than I have real hauntings, but I've dealt with a couple of hauntings, and there's not a real strong pattern to it. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a creepy old house. No one knows what happened to the people. We're hearing noises and crashes and bangs. It could be, I guess. And then they heard a creak. Not like a person, but like wood creaking. She said, let's just go. Let's just go to the kitchen door. It looked like a modern, new door. Let's just get out and get going. And so they started to walk, and it was a long hallway, kind of a big house. But as they got closer, they could see there was light back there. As they got closer, they could kind of see that it was kitchens. Every time they passed the door, it was a moment of anxiety. Some of them were open, some of them were shut. There was a door under the stairs that was probably a basement door. But there was one door that Ollie was just, didn't want to walk past. And he couldn't help himself but look in, and it was just a dining room. It was fine. Pretty normal-looking dining room, nice-looking even. Everything was kind of dusty, but otherwise, fine. So they made their way. Just as they were about to enter the kitchen, they heard just exactly the thing they were hoping not to hear, which was a voice that said, "Who are you in my house?" They both turned, but they didn't see anyone. She said, Sorry, we didn't mean to. The door shut behind us. We needed to use the car. Our phone, we needed to use the phone. Our car broke down. I'm so sorry. We're just trying to get out. Who are you in my house? I took a deep breath. He said, My name's Ollie. This is Shelley. We're both private eyes. We were on our way to a convention, and our car broke down. We're so sorry to have come into your house without permission. And there was a pause, and another skittering, and a little bit of a thud. And the voice said, That's quite all right. Are you okay? So I said, Yes, a little spooked. Oh, so sorry. It is a spooky old house. Just 1 second. Let me get the lights on. Hold on. And there was a big ka-chunk, and the hall lights came on. And with the lights on, it's just like a regular big old house. I mean, a little dusty. And then, around the corner, came a kindly-looking old man in a wheelchair. I said, sorry to have scared you. I was napping. I was napping in the study. I heard you knocking on the door, but I thought it was just one of the cats again. So, but no, here you are. Did you find the phone? And Shelley and I let out a big sigh of relief. Yeah, we saw it in the hallway. Once again, so sorry for coming in. Oh, no, it's okay. I don't mind. Actually, I hardly ever get visitors. I don't get out much. Just get my groceries delivered, you know. I'm planning a trip, but with all this COVID, I probably haven't been out of the house in a year. Maybe more. Where'd you say you were from? Can I make you a cup of coffee? Oh, I said, I would love a cup of coffee. I tell you, man, we thought this house might be haunted. I bet you did. No hauntings here that I'm aware of, but there they are. Plenty of cats. And she pointed down the hallway, and 3 little cats, well, regular-sized cats, came out of the library. Sorry if they spooked you. They were probably pretty excited to have people in the house. Oh, this house used to be so full of people and laughter and conversation. It's been so quiet recently. Oh, my kids moved out. I had my daughter here and her husband and their 3 kids. But they decided they needed to get their own place. And, I guess I understand. But listen to me prattle on. I was going to make you some coffee. And so they went into the kitchen. And they had some coffee. And they had a lovely little chat. And old man McCurry said, well, you said that the tow truck driver will be here in half an hour or so. I said, yeah, so we should probably get going. Yep. Well, say, come by any time. It's a lovely old house. Well, I know, that's kind of weird. You don't even know me other than today, but... Oh, you'll have to pardon the lonely old man. Maybe I do need to make my way out. Anyway, I can give you a ride. down to your car. I can't walk, really, but I can drive. Let me give you a ride. And so they got in the guy's car. And he could drive fine, actually. And the tow truck came, and they were late to their convention, but everything was all right. And they took the guy's number. And Ollie thought, next time I'm passing by this way, I will stop in. And he said, bring some friends. Honestly, I'm bored up here. I've got lots of cool stuff. Books, ATVs, pool table. Anyway, here I go on. Love to see you again. Anytime. And that was Ollie and the mystery of the quote-unquote haunted McCreary Mansion.